Welcome back, guys. This is Zenix, and we're here for another episode of Ark Survival Evolved. This episode is going to be a little bit different than what I usually do. I'm going to try to make this one more of a how-to instructional video for how to tame a Quetz. There's a couple of how to solo tame a Quetz, I should say. I've got a couple of strategies. We've seen one in the past, and we've got a new one in this episode. I just want to show you guys. But I want to tell you why I need to tame a Quetz, because we already have a Quetz, or we did. Over the holidays, I was out of town for about a week, and when I came back, my Quetz died. Now, before the holidays, I did everything I could to make sure that that didn't happen. I collected tons of meat, I cooked up all the meat, and I filled up the feeding troughs as much as I could. But the spoil timers on them, it just didn't last. And so, as soon as I logged in, I got the message that the Quetz died, and I saw his little backpack thing of items with the saddle and a few other miscellaneous things that were on the Quetz, and we lost Q, our Quetz. So I'm in need of another Quetz, and I wanted to show you guys the strategies, because I think in the last video when we did this, it just didn't work out like I planned, and I recorded it incorrectly and had some mistakes and fumbles. So I wanted to show you how to do it. So we've seen this strategy before. We're going to do one strategy with the tapajara. I'm going to talk you through all the steps you need to do to get that, and then we've got another strategy as well. So let's check it out. Let's get started. The first part of getting prepared for the Quetz tame is going to be to go ahead and make up your kibble. I'm assuming you're going to be using kibble, because if you don't use kibble, the Quetz tame takes so long. So hopefully you have Rex eggs. So to make the Rex kibble, you need the Rex egg, you need prime meat jerky, and you need long grass, which is the corn. And then along with every other kibble that you make, you also need mejo berries and fiber. And if you're doing it in a regular cooking pot, make sure you have plenty of those water canteens around so you can keep replenishing them. If you're using the industrial cooker, you'll need to throw in a gas to start the cooker, and then it's got water in it to cook up the kibble really quickly, which is awesome. And then the second part is to figure out your dart situation. Now, crossbow arrows will maybe work. There's a higher chance of you actually killing the Quetz with the dart, with the arrow, pardon me. So, and also it takes longer, so with the strategies we're employing, it's more likely that your tapajara or your pteranodon is going to kill the Quetz while you're trying to knock it out. So I highly encourage you to find the regular tranquilizer darts at bare minimum and have a bunch of them. Have extras, because you'll miss the Quetz many times. Make extra tranquilizer darts and keep them and use them with a rifle. If you can, if you're high enough level, or if you have friends on the server, collect the materials, ask them to make them for you. The shocking tranq darts are awesome. They're more effective, so it takes less shots to actually down the Quetz, and they're just so much better. It reduces the chance that your bird is actually going to kill the Quetz because you're knocking it out quicker. And then you'll need narcotics as usual for most tames. I don't have, like, the exact number depends on the level of Quetz that you're going to get, but I always carry a ton of extra, the narcotics, just to keep them knocked out. Their torpor doesn't drain super quickly, but for the length of tame, it obviously is going to take quite a bit of narcotics, so be prepared with that. And then, finally, you need the dinos that are going to help you with this tame. And with this first strategy, what we're going to do is we're taking a tapajara, and it has a saddle with 3 seats on it. Make sure you have that. And we're also bringing along an RG. Now, for the RG, this is very important. You want it to ignore group whistles, which means that when you whistle for the tapajara to go attack the Quetz, the RG doesn't then go attack with you. So it's just going to be following you behind and not try to go attack it, which is important because the RG is powerful. Now, the reason I'm taking an RG is for when the Quetz gets knocked out, whenever it falls down to the ground, you have no idea where that's going to be. There might be raptors, there might be dillos, there might be rexes, who knows? There's all sorts of crazy bad things that your Quetz could land on. And I want to have the best opportunity to clean that up as I can. And so I'm taking my best RG. We're taking iCloud. He's got like 900 plus melee damage, which is awesome. And he can wipe out just about anything. Once you've spotted the Quetz, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and land the tapajara so that it can regen stamina. And while you're landed, it probably makes sense to go ahead and double check the settings on the RG. You want to be sure that it ignores group whistles, and I always put the RG on neutral for taming Quetz, because once the Quetz has been knocked out on the ground, if something attacks your tapajara or attacks you, the RG can kind of automatically go attack that dinosaur. So go ahead and get that set up, and then you want to jump onto the front seat of your tapajara. And then pull out a spyglass, or maybe just sight in the Quetz with your rifle. And on PC, it's click period to attack this target. If you're on console, check your controller input settings to determine what that is. And then go ahead and start shooting. Your tapajara will start chasing it. And if you've set the settings on the RG as I've suggested, your RG won't attack the Quetz, but the tapajara will. And so then you can just keep shooting the Quetz. Now, I miss more times than I'd like to admit, but you want to hit as much as you can, obviously. The wings, I don't think register as hits, so try to aim for the body. If you get a good clean headshot, take a shot at that. That'll help knock it out quicker. But I think the higher percentage shots are definitely body shots, which you can see I'm not always taking my own advice here. But it's, you know, a good idea. Now, your tapajara is going to continue chasing this indefinitely until you press U. If something happens, I don't know, there might be something crazy happen. One time, the Quetz flew into the side of the volcano, and there were allosaurs there, and they ate my tapajara. It might be a good idea to click U to stop all, and so your tapajara will stop chasing. Now, you might be in a bit of a pickle there, so just be aware of that. And then from here on out, you're just shooting that Quetz until you get it knocked out. So one item that I didn't mention earlier that you should probably carry along with you when you're flying, especially trying to tame a Quetz, is parachutes. We'll see it in a second here, but once you get the Quetz to get knocked out, you have to get to the ground somehow. And so you can let the tapajara continue to chase the Quetz as it falls, but you run the risk of the tapajara attacking the Quetz one last time, which would then, of course, decrease your taming efficiency. So that's why I carry a parachute during these things, and I completely forgot to mention it during the setup, so that at this point I can whistle stop for the tapajara, and then I can jump off, use the parachute to go straight down, and get down to the tame. Now, it's important that the RG is either following you or that you whistle for both of the birds to actually follow you, instead of, for example, the RG following the tapajara, which is the default if you're sitting on the tapajara when you whistle for the RG, so that they come down with you. Otherwise, they're going to be hovering well above you, and they're not going to be of any help to you. So this is the point in the tame where you need to hop on your RG and start cleaning up bad guys. And in this case, the fog made it really hard for me to see, and I just couldn't. It took me a second to even find where the Quetz landed. I knew it was in the area, but I just didn't know where it was. But I'm keeping an eye out for raptors, for dillos, for any kind of carnivore that might take a stab at killing the Quetz. And we just want to clean those guys up. The next bit is just protecting the Quetz. You can do this without building spike walls. I tend to want to build spike walls just because I feel safer about little tiny things like compies or dillos not getting through to attack the Quetz. So you can build up some spike walls. Those take hide and wood and fiber, so you can carry that along if that's what you're going to do. You can also actually build actual walls. You have to start by building the fence foundations, in order to build walls onto them, but it's still doable. So I typically will just build some spike walls around just to protect it. And in this case, I left a little gap here just so I can get in and out, and we just left the RG there to protect it. The next part is to wait and keep an eye on its torpor. Make sure that you use up the narcotics to make sure that it stays knocked out. For this particular Quetzal, I ended up using like 75 narcotics total, and then I've got the kibble prepared. There are applications out there that'll help you do calculations on how much kibble it'll take, and it'll tell you what the food value has to get down to in order for it to go ahead and be starved out, so it'll go ahead and insta-tame. You can look up those applications and use them. that are related to Ark. And then go ahead and put the kibble on it when it's all ready to go. And then, of course, you'll have a Quetzal tamed up in no time. Now, I am grabbing extra meat because after the tame, I just like to fill up the inventory of the Quetzal to make sure that it doesn't get hungry. And then you can name your Quetz. Now, I named this one Q 2.0, and I'm really disappointed that I didn't call it Q.0 because that sounds so much cooler. So I'm probably going to have to go back and rename that Quetz to Q.0 because it is awesome. And then you've got yourself a Quetz. Now, you might have already created a saddle. In this case, I didn't make a saddle ahead of time. I had one sitting back at the base in one of the storage bins from the original Q Quetzal. And so I'm just going to let him follow us back to the base so that we can get a saddle on him. Now, before we move on to the new strategy that I kind of teased at the beginning of the video, I did want to mention this other strategy that we saw the last time we went Quetz hunting, which is using a Pteranodon and a grappling hook to essentially dangle from the Pteranodon while you knock out the Quetz. Now, this is much more challenging than the tapajara method. The tapajara method is much simpler, and you tend to get shots onto the Quetz a lot easier because grappling from the Pteranodon, you're bouncing up and down a ton. But if you are interested in that strategy, go back and check out that video and see how we did it there. We ended up getting to the point where we almost knocked it out, but I think we ended up killing it. So it's possible. You just have to be able to knock down the Quetz before your Pteranodon kills it. So now we get to the next final strategy. And so this is enabled when we get to level 97. You can actually build a Quetz platform saddle. So I'm going to run in and build a Quetz platform saddle. Now, you have to be minimum of 97 at the as of the time of this video. And you have to collect a lot of materials. So it's going to take a bunch of stuff. It's going to take cementing paste, 120 of those, 400 fiber, 620 hide, 180 metal ingots, and then silica pearls are so challenging to get earlier on when you don't have a lot of ocean creatures, and you need 220 of those. Now, there is a spot at the top left corner of the map. There's a little bay area where there's tons of silica pearls. You just have to be careful because it's cold, you'll freeze to death, and also there are sharks and other bad things that might eat you. So we crafted a platform saddle, and this is what it looks like. It is awesome. You can stand on top of it. You can actually build structures on top of the platform saddle, which is so cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a mobile flying Quetz trap. So you essentially start with a platform saddle and then build some foundations in the center of the platform. And so you really kind of want to put one foundation kind of in that far corner so you can fit 2 rows of foundations onto the platform. And then we're putting roofs on the outside to make this a 4x3 configuration. 4 wide and 3 deep. So now we'll start putting walls on this. And now we can't put walls everywhere because there is a limit to the number of structures you can build on a platform saddle. Your mileage may vary depending on your server settings. I don't think we adjusted on ours, so ours may be the official level. And so we just want to build up walls about 3 high. And one thing that you might have missed there is that foundation close to the head of the Quetz, I actually took out so that I could access the inventory and actually ride the Quetz. So you'll need to do that. And we're building up walls and building up the ceilings to make this big box trap. So we're going to have the Quetz fly in, or we're going to fly and trap the Quetz in through this big hole in the front. And then once the Quetz is trapped, we'll build walls down from the ceiling to actually trap the Quetz. So let's go see if this is actually going to work. Once again, we're on the hunt for another Quetz, and this is a long, challenging part, is finding another Quetz. But man, that Quetz with that trap just looks goofy, if you ask me. So one thing about this strategy, which I think is kind of neat, is you can actually restore stamina of your tapajara simply by landing on the Quetz trap, or the platform if you just have a platform instead of the trap too. So you can actually land on the platform saddle, and you can see that stamina starts regenning, which is so handy. That way you're not worried about getting eaten by anything, and you can just hang out until your stamina regens so you can keep on the hunt for another Quetz. And once you've located the Quetz, the next part is where we start getting into actually getting it trapped and getting it tamed. So you want to locate it, make sure it's the one that you want, and then you fly the tapajara into the trap. And the key here is that you don't want your tapajara to just be following you around. You just let it sit in the trap, and it should have plenty of space. So you can fly it in the trap, land it, and then just make sure that it's on passive so it doesn't attack anything. Make sure that what I actually did is I set it on to follow and put its follow distance to highest, just in case something happens where it falls out or glitches out of the trap. It'll just follow us along. So you might want to do that, but just get him set up in the trap, hop on the Quetz, and then go chase down the one that you're hunting. Now, as you're chasing the Quetz, you got to keep an eye on the stamina of your Quetzal. So when it starts getting low, you definitely need to go and land and regen some of that stamina, because you're going to be using a lot of it to try to trap this Quetz. So at this point, keep monitoring your stamina and keep chasing this Quetz. Now, you have to balance using the sprint mode and just regular flying, because you don't want to run out of stamina too much. And another thing is that when you finally get to the point where you're trapping the Quetz, I think the way it works is you can't use the sprint mode, because then the Quetz has a higher chance of glitching out of your trap. So be sure that when you capture him, you're not actually using the sprint mode. And so essentially you're just chasing him down and hoping that he'll turn towards the trap. And always keep an eye on that stamina. You might have to stop for stamina a few times, but eventually you'll get him trapped. Once you get him trapped, you'll hop off the saddle and attempt to build a wall there to trap him in so he's not going to fly away. Now, one thing you have to be careful of, which probably is worth mentioning during the build of the trap, is that there's a limited number of structures that you can actually build on a platform saddle. On this server, I don't think we actually adjusted the settings, so I think this is whatever the official server values are. I think that they're still at those defaults. So there is that limit. So be sure that you can actually build enough structures to block him in. In this case, I just neglected that fact, and we were able to build one wall there to block him in, and just aren't able to construct additional walls to finish out that trap. So now we can commence shooting him and trying to knock him out. As I mentioned before, the shocking tranquilizer darts are gonna put him out quicker. The regular tranquilizer darts will do better than crossbow arrows, and if you're gonna use crossbow arrows, just be aware that there is a good chance that you could kill the Quetz in the process. But if you've constructed your trap correctly, he won't be able to escape, and you'll be able to knock him out right here. He looks pretty precarious the way he's kind of perched on top of this trap, but it's an effective way to knock out and tame a Quetz. And now he will stay there and not fall to the ground as long as you don't try to fly your Quetz or move your Quetz at all. He'll just hang out there, and you can access his inventory, add narcotics, add the kibble, all that kind of fun stuff to get him tamed up. This episode has been a lot of fun to put together. It's been different than what we're used to, but I thought I'd put a little spin on it and try something a little bit different. So hopefully you learned something about taming up Quetzals. I know I really enjoyed doing it and putting together the video for you guys. 2017 was a fantastic year. That was the beginning of the Zenix Gaming channel, and I've had a ton of fun putting together the channel, putting together all the videos, playing these games with you guys, and I hope you have enjoyed it. 2018 promises to be a fantastic year once again. I've got plans to do different games, try out different styles. Obviously, we're going to be continuing in Ark, so go ahead and subscribe to be sure you get all those updates. Hit the notification bell so you get notified as soon as I post a new video. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next time.